planned to cook a venison pie this month, but because of the fantastic weather we've been having, we've decided to cook a chicken morel and asparagus pie. This is a fantastic opportunity to use seasonal ingredients, which are absolutely superb at the moment. The principal ingredients of this chicken pie are chicken, obviously, morels, asparagus, and then we've added some herbs which really enhances the overall flavour. We've got thyme, bay leaf. I can't resist using a little bit of smoked streaky bacon in this dish as well, because it just gives it a little bit more depth of flavour, a little bit more seasoning in the dish. It just works really well. We're doing a shallot and dry sherry reduction. We've got some double cream, some seasoning, and we're going to thicken it if necessary at the end with a little bit of beurre manier, which is butter and flour whisked into the sauce just to give it a bit of body. The first thing to do is to poach the chicken in chicken stock, about 500 ml of chicken stock, and I've got a kilo of chicken thighs that have been boned and skinned. I've cut them into bite-sized pieces. I've also added some thyme and some bay leaves into here, and I'm going to poach it for about 10 to 15 minutes until the chicken thighs are cooked. Very important with morels that you actually get grit out of them, because that's not something you want to eat. So I've used a pastry brush to just clean them a little bit here, get rid of all the grit, and then I'm going to slice them up.
Understood it even less. It's a fine time.
The next stage is to cook the shallots in a little bit of butter and olive oil, just so they're nice and soft but not coloured.
Time to travel to the sea. It's the finest of times to take a trip across the ocean.
Cook your shallots for 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, until they're soft. Cook them gently, and then we're going to add some sherry. I've got 150 ml of dry sherry here, which is another ingredient I absolutely love. I'll turn the heat up, and the sherry is now going to reduce to almost a syrupy consistency, because what I want to do is burn the alcohol off. The shallots are now colouring up a little bit as they're getting hotter with the sherry reducing, which is the sweetness in the shallots, the natural sweetness coming out. I'm now going to add the double cream and put this into the sherry. There's 150 ml of sherry, 150 ml of double cream added to the 200 grams of shallots, and I'm going to reduce the overall liquid content by about another third, just to concentrate the flavours. I'm now going to strain the chicken stock off and leave the chicken to stand. I'll use my stock, obviously with my cream and my sherry, to make my sauce. I'll put my chicken stock back on the hob, and to that I'm going to add the sherry and the cream combination. There are several stages to this recipe, but it's not as complicated as you might think. The next thing I'm going to do is to saute off my asparagus and morels gently for 5 or 6 minutes, just to release the fragrance of the morels and make sure that the asparagus is al dente. I don't want it to be soggy and soft. I want it still to be crisp and the morels to be cooked nicely. That's 200 grams of morels, and for simplicity, 200 grams of sliced asparagus. The sauce ingredients are bubbling away nicely now, but if you do find there's a little bit of oil or butter on top of the sauce, you can easily skim it off. That's what I recommend we do. The asparagus and the morels have been cooking for 5 or 6 minutes, and they are just cooked nicely. Right, I can now go ahead and add the morels and the asparagus to the chicken, which I've got over here. Just put those in there. Just combine them. Ready for the bacon and the sauce. Not much to do now. I'm just going to fry off this smoked streaky bacon, get it nice and crispy, which will be added to the chicken, asparagus and the morels. While the bacon's cooking, I'm just going to finish the sauce off. At the moment it's a little bit too thin for my liking, so I'm going to thicken it up with what's called beurre manier, which is a combination of soft butter and flour in equal quantities. What we do is we just drop this in, little by little, and whisk fairly vigorously at the same time, so we get a slightly thickened sauce. As you can see, the sauce is now thickened up slightly. It's a nice silky kind of velvety consistency. And so what I want to do now is make sure it's seasoned well. A little taste. Nice. Just needs a touch of white pepper, I think. Just adding the bacon to the cream. Now that the bacon is in the sauce and I've amalgamated it nicely, I'm going to pour the sauce into the chicken asparagus morel mix. So now it just remains for me to finally mix all the ingredients together to combine everything that's going to go into my chicken morel and asparagus pie.
Maybe to impress, I read about a quarter.
The topping for my pie is going to be some puff pastry. Now you can obviously make it yourself, but it is quite tricky, and I think for most people, to be honest with you, a good quality butter puff pastry, about 70% butter, is what you want to use. I'm going to make enough chicken pie for about 2 people here, so this is the dish I'm going to use. So in order to get my topping cut correctly, I'm just going to use the top of the dish to cut around the pastry. It's good to use a dish with a little rim here, because with puff pastry it's always good to use these straggly little bits to go around the edge. So you can actually stick the top of the pastry cover onto those strips, because it stops the pastry shrinking and it also helps it rise. The chicken pie filling is now made. It's chilled. Luckily enough we've got a glass chiller here, so we were able to chill this in 90 minutes. It's very important to chill the filling before you use pastry, especially puff pastry, because if you put the puff pastry on top of a hot filling, it's going to be horrible. It's just going to shrink and it's just not going to work. Okay, so my puff pastry, I've cut it into an oval shape. I've egg washed the side of this seal. I'm going to place this on top and crimp it down. Now what I can do now is just trim the excess off, trim all the way around here. Just going around now to crimp the edges to pop a little slit in the top, let the air escape. I've just put 3 little leaves on the top of the pie just to make it a bit more decorative. You can do anything you like, chicken, anything you fancy really, but I've got some leaves on there. So I'm just going to finish egg washing the whole of the top now before I pop it into the oven for probably about 20-25 minutes, gas mark 200, to cook. In the oven for around 20 to 25 minutes.
Across the ocean, it's a fine time, a fine old time to run away with me.
The pie's been in the oven for about 25 minutes, and I'm just going to check on it to make sure it's cooked. Yes, that's perfect. There we go. So here we have chicken morel and asparagus pie, and it just remains for me to put it on plates. Today I've served the chicken pie with some broccoli and some French purple vitolette potatoes, which I think will go very nicely.
I feel that day is coming.
Next month I'm going to be cooking a summer recipe of my artichoke and ratatouille pie in puff pastry, which we'll be serving with lamb. So look forward to seeing you there.
Fine time to travel to the sea. It's the finest of times to take a trip across the ocean. It's a fine time, a fine time, a fine old time to run away with me.